Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around we had The Time Warrior. What was that one about?
Well, actually that was one of the more fun ones. I won't say specifically better, but one of the more fun ones we've seen in a while. This interstellar warrior called a Sontaran, whose name is
Lynx.
Apparently crash lands on Earth in the Middle Ages, but has a way of stealing scientists from the 20th century and bringing them back to try to fix his ship. In the meantime, he's setting up one group of Englishmen over another, and the Doctor and new companion Sarah Jane, who's a journalist who sneaks into the TARDIS at the last minute, as they all seem to do. But they manage to unhypnotize one of the scientists named Rubish, of all things. And then they ultimately manage to outwit him, and I can't remember when his ship takes off. Doesn't it blow up?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, anyway, though, kind of fun. Again, it's anybody who grew up in the 50s and 60s and who saw all those, sword and sandal movies, Ben-Hur and the Vikings and all that. This was very similar to that. I mean, the writing was very good, the direction was good, the sets and costumes were fantastic. Again, a great deal of fun.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, and so now we have new companion Sarah Jane to fill in for Joe now. And yeah, very interesting how she just sort of is now a part of this. She's a journalist. She was trying to get a story, and that led her to the TARDIS. Yeah. So, just very interesting stuff. Today, we have a 6-parter. So, like always, we'll split it up. 3 today, 3 next week. This one is called Invasion of the Dinosaurs, which sounds very specific, but also, I'm not sure what that could mean.
I did read something that said it's a good story, but everyone working on it basically thought the special effects didn't measure up. And that's very common from the early 70s when you're trying to do live action dinosaur things. A lot of the Ray Harryhausen stuff looked really good in stills, but when it was stop motioned and they actually did it, it didn't quite sync up.
Yeah.
Even his best one, which was Jason and the Argonauts, I think. Great film, good story, even Clash of the Titans. But again, the special effects, especially considering now that we've seen Jurassic Park and Jurassic World and all these other new things, it's just you just want to go back and go, somebody please go in and dub over all of these horrible old stop motion things with new CGI technology.
Yeah, and because I mean, even if you go back to King Kong, and you have big old stop motion King Kong, just the movements and stuff, if it's in something as weird as it's to say, but a Rankin Bass, Rudolph or whatever, it's well, at least the whole world looks like this. The whole thing looks like this weird, janky stop motion. But when it's just Kong and some of that, it's all right, that looks a little out of place. Nothing moves like that, you know? So it's if you added 30 or 40 more frames every second, maybe it'd smooth out a bit. Yeah. But
again, there was a lot of good stuff, but then there was just absolute crap like Valley of the Guanji, and there was something else from the late 60s. Can't remember what it was, but may have been The Voyage of Sinbad. And just fun stories, great cheesy actors, great cheesy scripts, and then just really bad special effects.
Yeah, so... And I mean, we're no stranger to bad special effects and everything on Doctor Who. Some of it can be very good. Some of it can be really, really bad. So I'll be curious as to... I mean, I guess we already know what we're going to get in this one.
Well, that's why I thought last week the character of the Sontaran was just... it was interesting how they literally made this guy look like Humpty Dumpty, and yet he still had a very expressive face.
Yeah, definitely. So, because I'm trying to think what all we had last season, because we had the Drashings, and those were pretty good. But those weren't stop motion; they were very much just a puppet that they kind of kept, off in the distance. So, But yeah, probably the best special effects we've had are probably maybe the Daleks and the Cybermen, and even then things sometimes be a little iffy. Sometimes, So I'll be curious what all that's going to look like. I think also someone said, and no one quote me on this because I can't remember what it actually was, but I think someone said that one of these episodes is in black and white. It might entirely turn out that that's not the case, but I don't know. I think that might be... There's something about these episodes.
Yeah, I think some time back somebody said this was like the last one that had not been colorized.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's any different on BritBox or if there's anything different. I'm trying to think if there was anything specific. Also, just happened to notice... Okay, so there was no... So we're in 1974 now, so there was no gap between episodes. But apparently, someone also said that The Time Warrior was filmed with Season 10. So Pertwee and Sarah Jane may look slightly different. Their haircuts might be a bit different in this episode because there was like months between this and the last episode. So let's find out as we go ahead and jump into Invasion of the Dinosaurs. Here we go.
It's in black and white.
So it is. I guess this is the one that's in black and white. Just Invasion. Oh, okay.
They don't want to give it away.
They gave away every Dalek twist in the title. Oh, this is weird.
Back to London.
Is this why there's dinosaurs? Because there's a rapture that happened? This is messing with my brain to see them in black and white.
No, it doesn't work.
Probably been vandalized.
That's a very unfair word, you know. Because actually the Vandals were quite decent chaps. Come on.
The province of Andalusia in, I think it's southeastern Spain, was originally Vandalusia. One of the places they settled. So far, this episode has been filmed entirely on location.
Well, it's a shame that this store is advertising color televisions.
Well, finally on set. Where to pick up the bag? Did he have that when he came out of the TARDIS?
No, that's the looter's bag.
Oh.
I don't know why he's keeping it.
Pterodactyl.
Well, it doesn't look bad.
And again, they're only giving us glimpses of it.
Yeah. You know, it helps to be in black and white, actually.
You can have your extra patrols, Brigadier. My instructions to them are that any looter who does not surrender immediately will be shot.
Doesn't mean you have to kill him. Just go for the leg, like the Terminator.
Age?
23.
Age?
You'd never believe me.
Nuh.
I think I found that the right is my best side.
Get up and hold that in front of you.
Oh, all right. What about one of both of us? Come and join in.
Over there.
At least he can keep a sense of humor. Oh, I know that looked pretty good.
And we're trapped. Same as usual. The bullets won't do any good.
Oh, I love it.
We're gonna try.
I mean, it's just kind of chilling. Ow.
Seems to be moving on.
I mean, it looks about as good as 70s Godzilla.
Or shall I go? No, you better stay here. Send a dispatch ride and get aboard here as quickly as possible.
Right.
Typical. Absolutely typical.
You're the narc, aren't you? It was you what grasped on us.
I never grasped in my life.
Yes, you did. Come on your feet. Come on out.
All right, then, you great dress, that twit you asked for. What did you do?
Good job.
Never mind that now. Come on, let's get out of here.
Oh, no, not you. You go that way.
What? We're on straight into the soldier.
Yeah, well, that busy with you, I'll get away.
Oh, so much for honor amongst thieves.
Ooh.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Well, bye.
So they're in an old theater, because that was a stage with a curtain.
Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, I wonder if... You think it's a puppet, or do you think it's a suit?
I think it's a suit.
Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, I guess we did see him start to walk away.
Yeah.
So, it's a very cumbersome suit.
And now, again, I realize it's television, and it's the early 70s,
Yeah.
but it's still way cheesier than it needs to look.
Yeah, you know...
Especially since we had the Draconians,
Yeah.
whose makeup was so perfect and made it so that they were so you would think that they could get somebody who did that to at least doctor this up a little bit.
Yes, but they also had Kronos, the giant flying birdman. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, if this was like 10 seasons ago, I'd be like, oh, sure, why not? 60s, no budget, sure, I get you. It kind of makes me wonder, though, like, what the inspiration of this story is, because I almost wonder, it's like, I wonder how popular Godzilla movies were at the time, you know?
Well, I remember Godzilla's movies on TV, again, in the 60s and 70s. The original Godzilla, which was a Japanese film, then they inserted Raymond Burr, of all people, into it, and basically made him part of that, and then dubbed over the Japanese actors' voices. But again, I seem to recall seeing that on TV in the 60s and 70s. There was a really good British film, if I recall correctly, called Gorgo, which was basically a Godzilla-type monster invading London, if I recall correctly. And again, it would have been, big-budget movie or low-budget movie, but still, I mean, that's very bottom of the line costuming right there.
Yeah, and even the pterodactyl, like there were some shots where the pterodactyl worked, but when it was just a shot of it flying in, and you see all of those wires, and it's not naturally moving, it's just being flung somewhere, like that doesn't work.
Yeah. Now again, if they had just caught glimpses of it, shadows of it, the one that did work was when the pterodactyl broke the window of the car and was nipping at him. He was smacking it.
Right.
That was good.
Yeah.
But the rest of that, as a director, I could have Alfred Hitchcock that and made it scary as hell.
Right. Now I do wonder, because I think someone said only one episode of this is in black and white, and well, we just saw it, but I can't remember, if that's exactly what they said or if the entire thing is in black and white. Because honestly, the black and white kind of helps it. Like, I don't know what it is about black and white that kind of makes cheesier things. I don't want to say it makes it look better, but it makes it more acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, it's a man in a suit, like, all right, I buy it. It's not too strange.
Yeah.
Maybe just color would kind of make it look faker. So I don't know if the rest of this is in color, but now I'm almost hoping it isn't to make it look better. So, nope, that's color. Well, that's too bad. I thought about making the entire thumbnail black and white.
Oh, now it's Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Yeah, they didn't want to spoil it. They learned the Dalek lesson. Yeah, that looks worse in color.
Notice they're not using real guns. I mean, they're using real guns, but you're not seeing the muzzle flashes or anything. They're just adding the sound effects later.
Well, thank goodness this ice cream cart was here for us to take cover.
And they're not even decently aiming in the right direction.
Yeah. You'd think they would have started deploying the RAF at this point.
Yeah.
Those things died out millions of years ago.
65 million years ago, to be precise.
Killed by one of my companions.
Nah.
In the future.
Spoilers.
What's the name of the king?
Well, Richard, of course. But he's in the Holy Land. John rules now.
In his late
Take the
1100s,
curse
early
off me, was it?
1200s.
Send me home.
I only wish I could.
What in the world?
Oh, time is reversing. The power bites the dust. Jeez.
Brigadier.
No.
Having contained them, what do you do then?
Oh, well, that's where you come in, Doctor. So far, we've absolutely no idea where they're coming from. Or come to that, where they go.
Where they go?
Or where'd they come from,
Yes,
Cotton
there's
Eye
one or two
Joe?
good things about the entire situation.
Somebody or something is operating a temporal displacement on a very vast scale.
Never mind your scientific gobbledygook.
The creatures are being brought from the past into the present, General. Staying here for a while and then returning to their own time.
Rubbish.
That's rubish to you.
Then you
No.
have a better theory.
I mean, I get it's all very far-fetched, but if you're going to take command of unit, you gotta kinda believe him.
Be careful, Doctor!
Don't worry, Brigadier. It's a vegetarian.
I was gonna say, they're pretty nice. Kinda, I guess.
Now, again, because this one isn't moving, it is more realistic looking.
In Wales with the giant maggots, I had to have a spot of leave.
Tuh.
Suppose it was a reaction, really.
All those deserted streets.
I rather like it.
Excuse me, sir.
Have you noticed the air? It's clean. No cars. No people. Did you know yesterday I saw a fox in Piccadilly?
Nightingales in Berkeley Square.
It's not impossible.
That's a song.
No, I like London the way it was. Traffic jams and all.
Yes, I expect you're right.
Sir, message from spotter control, sir. The doctor and the brigadier have arrived.
Is Yates gonna, like, retire at some point?
Under close-ups.
Aw. Man, I wanted to have a pet Stegosaurus.
Time travel is impossible, we all know that.
I've travelled
What?
through time, General. The doctor knows what he's talking about.
About to say,
Ah,
the meddling monk.
Meh. Eh.
Next time.
What is it?
I'm sorry, Professor, but I thought I'd better warn you.
What the heck? Man, not again.
Doctor, sir. Yes, of course, you two have a great deal in common. The Doctor's very keen on this anti-pollution business.
And so should you be, Brigadier. It affects all our lives.
Oh, quite so. Quite.
I mustn't keep you, Doctor. I just wanted to make your acquaintance.
Oh, nonsense, nonsense. No need to rush away. Come over here. Let me explain to you what I'm doing. Now then, in the first place...
That's absolute nonsense. There's no way he can find us.
I feel like we've seen this actor before.
I believe him.
You must sabotage the doctor's stun gun.
I admire your courage, Doctor. I only hope it works.
I think it will.
It's a very interesting prop.
To try it out on. Commonly known as the Brontosaurus, large, placid, and stupid. That's exactly what we need.
I'm standing by, Doctor.
Will you excuse us, Minister? I'll let you know as soon as we've captured it. Come on, Brigadier.
Oh, that guy's definitely in
There
on
you are,
it.
Captain Yates.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah. Now they've got a mortar.
Meh.
Now this time he's real and the dinosaur's green screened.
Yeah.
Last time he was on the green screen.
And there it goes. Well. Wait, how did that sneak up on us? Alrighty. That's part 2.
So Mike takes some time off and gets sucked into some conspiracy.
Yeah. But, so they bring in that minister, or whoever that was, and it was something about saving the world and anti-pollution and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Mike specifically said, oh, London's so much nicer without the people.
Yeah.
Because it's all cleaner and stuff. I'm wondering if this is some weird, they are trying to save the planet. They have good intentions, but, dinosaurs. That's just the distraction. So I don't think Mike is like evil or bad or anything like that. I just think he's taking things to an extreme. How do these people have time powers? Like, at the very least, like, I suppose equal technological prowess to a Sontaran to displace something in time. So, yeah, how does that work?
I guess we'll find out in the next 4 episodes.
Yeah. It'd be hilarious if somehow, like, Lynx did die at the end of last episode, but his ship didn't actually get destroyed, and so now years later these people have found that ship. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Would have been interesting if the medieval guy had been from the last episodes.
Yeah. If it was Irongron or
Irongron,
yeah.
Or Sir Edward.
Yeah. That would have been interesting.
Because they never did establish what time period that was.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think John took over in, 1199?
I don't know.
Yeah. And ruled for about 15 years.
Yeah. Look, when I was in college, they told us not to worry about dates. So...
Yeah, I had a professor who told me dates are simply the page numbers of history.
Yeah, so... Well, and honestly, if you ask me a lot of stuff, I probably can't give you an answer. Like, you have 1,000% more knowledge in history than I do, despite the fact that I do also have a bachelor's degree in history, so...
Now, to talk about completely off topic, but on topic, Shakespeare wrote a play about the life of King John. I have been in that play. I played the Archduke of Austria, who, according to Shakespeare, had imprisoned Richard on his way back home from... the Crusades, and I had stolen his lion cape, and in the course of the play I get killed by Falconbridge, who is theoretically John's bastard son or Richard's bastard son, one of them. Anyway, so
interesting side note. So
now, strangely enough, that does not look like a guy in a suit. Because the movements were too jerky.
Well, it was interesting eye movement, at least.
I'll do what I can.
I feel like the doctor's going to figure out pretty quickly that
Not satisfied with that young man's loyalty.
he got the thing to work.
Concerned about this.
Is it actually breathing? Thought I saw the sides moving.
Maybe.
Doctor?
This Chinese scientist called Chun Sen. Oh, hang about, he hasn't been born yet, has he?
Quite.
No.
But there is a man called Whittaker. Now, he's the leading scientist in this field.
Whittaker, that name rings a bell.
He claimed to have developed a workable theory of time travel.
I remember he applied for a big government grant. It was refused.
Why?
Whittaker was always an outsider, always mixed up in quarrels with other scientists. No one believed his theory would work.
Yes, that's right. All the government scientific advisors said the fellow was a crank. What about him?
He's disappeared.
Has he indeed?
About 6 months ago, he completely vanished. I checked with my newspaper contacts up north. No trace.
And you think he could be
Good
the
job,
handle?
Sarah.
Well, it's a possibility. You don't think I'm going to miss an opportunity like this?
I'm sorry, Miss Smith. This whole affair is under strict security blackout. You can take your photographs when the crisis is past.
Oh, when the crisis is past, there won't be anything to photograph.
It's very Deep Space Nine when Jake stayed behind for a bit. This professor guy dealing with time travel reminds me of the guy they had on Legends of Tomorrow.
Where is your HQ?
Show this to my driver. He'll take you there.
Oh, what about you?
I've got 1 or 2 things to settle here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping Sarah, being a journalist, she would see when someone's clearly evil.
Do we suspect he's going to get eaten?
They look like heavy enough chains. This is why you don't have flash on.
Today, of course, she'd take a selfie with it.
Right, you got your pictures, now leave! Oh, look at how great those chains are.
Where do you want to go? And what shall I tell the doctor?
Well, tell him... Tell him I've gone out to play. Come on.
Girl's gonna get someone killed.
Wasn't there a plan once to build underground quarters for the government in the event of an atomic war?
Yes. Back in the Cold War days. Oh, I see what you're getting at. Well, I don't think any of them would ever built, you know.
I hardly understand it myself, but then of course I've only been minister for 6 months.
Could it be this? Top secret construction projects?
I wonder. Number 2395. Now, that should be over here somewhere. No, there's nothing here. This is all about building RAF early warning stations in Scotland.
Well, perhaps one of the other files in the same category?
Well, we can but look.
I can't tell if he's in on it or not.
Yeah. Certainly seems like it.
Yeah.
It's an elevator.
Oh.
After you, Miss Smith.
So he is in on it. Well, he was playing the part very well.
Yeah.
Sergeant?
Unlike Finch, who, if his mustache were any bigger, he'd be twirling it.
Sometimes that girl baffles me.
We've only known her a couple of weeks.
If that.
Gonna send her back in time again?
Maybe. It'd be hilarious if they sent her back in time and she finds Professor Rubish. Or they're hypnotizing her.
What's going on? Where am I?
We're on our way. Soon we shall arrive on the planet that is to be our new home.
Planet? Spaceship? What are you talking about?
We left Earth 3 months ago.
Okay, that is not at all what I expected.
I wasn't expecting that last part, yeah.
Thought they would send her back in time to be eaten by dinosaurs.
Yeah. You know, because I'm already thinking, like, oh, are they going to, like, convince her she's been in a coma or something? Or, like, I don't know. But then I looked and it's like, wait a minute, she still has the injury on her head. How are you going to explain that?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't know what this is, you know? Right.
Well, it seems like you
Spaceship.
mentioned before. Again, the ending, not exactly sure. But we have this almost Luddite kind of community here. You know, anti-pollution, anti-industrialization, large cities, who appear to have tried to figure out some way to, and again, transport people to the future. That makes no sense, other than the guy said the plan has come true. But it seemed to me what they were trying to do is empty out the city of London, and then they were going to try to do that, basically send everybody back to hunting and gathering. So,
well, I mean, the dinosaurs were just a distraction to clear London.
Yeah.
So the military evacuates. You just have the military and some looters to deal with. So I figured that after that they were going to do something specific that maybe clears up the pollution or something. Like, because if they were going to send them back to like hunting and gathering, I feel like the dinosaurs would be attacking more, wouldn't they?
well, again, though, the idea that I'm thinking was that they're using London as a test city to basically empty out the cities and send people back to a more agrarian society. Somehow or other, because the people would still think that there are dinosaurs in the city, they would stay out in the countryside and therefore reduce pollution. I mean, that was my initial thought. But again, like you said, now I have no idea.
But if you clear out a big city, the people don't just, presumably, the people don't just vanish. They'll just go build another city and they'll have their cars and they'll have everything.
But without their technology, they're, again, going to literally go back to a farming society. They're going to have to... This is what happened after the Roman Empire fell.
Yeah.
You know, without the technology, without the engineers and all those people who were educated in the Roman society, they simply scattered out into the countryside and started building, you know, farms and castles and villas, and took them 1,000 years to get caught up to where they had been.
Right.
So, I mean, that is kind of an interesting idea here, that they're deliberately shutting down all the technology and all of that to force people to go back to being non-polluters, to being, an agricultural group. So, basically starting a new Dark Ages.
Yeah.
But then we get Sarah on the spaceship that left Earth 3 months ago. So I got no idea. Malcolm Hulk is probably, eating some mushrooms at this point, or smoking them.
Yeah, maybe. Mushrooms that he grew agriculturally.
And not in the mines.
That was a word. Yeah. By the way, the dog just started barking, if you hear that in the background. Yeah. Anywho. Okay. So... But why is there a spaceship? But why is there a spaceship? That's the next question we've now brought up.
Malcolm Hulk is screwing with us.
Yeah, so... Okay. Okay. I'm trying to piece things together.
I think we're just going to have to wait till next week.
Yeah.
This literally makes no sense to us. I mean, it makes some sense until that last scene.
Like, I see all the parts, I just don't see how to connect them.
Yeah.
Well, I see how to connect most of them. I can't see how to connect that last part.
Yeah.
It's like you have an entire puzzle. You've got everything but the last corner. And then you're given a circle. And you don't know what to do with that circle. Because it doesn't fit in a corner. So. Alrighty. So, the first thing I wrote down was London being empty. It's always interesting. How many times have we done that now?
Well, they emptied out for the Yeti.
Yeah. They kind of did that for the Cybermen invasion, too.
They did it when the Daleks invaded London.
Yeah.
Because remember, they had the iconic scenes of the Daleks on London Bridge and at Big Ben. So, I mean, yes. And again, the General Finch didn't say anything about the last time London was evacuated because of the web of fear with the Yetis underground. So again, alternate timelines. Every one of them is a different timeline.
Yeah,
it's got to be
and even like the Dalek invasion of Earth. That's the future, so that you can get away with that. But UNIT was there both for the web of fear and the invasion of the Cybermen. So that is 2 times where London specifically has been invaded, and then here comes General Mustache Twirler saying, "Oh, this is all ridiculous nonsense stuff." Like, which is it? That is just sort of I don't know. How many people are we up to now? Especially with the Third Doctor's era, just this sort of kind of character, Like we've had that so much, But yeah, so we've got London being empty, with the exception of the looters that are trying to get everything. And the ones who are caught are put on trial, sent to detention camps and stuff. Which, that definitely seems like a sort of low on the priorities spectrum for UNIT. Like, I definitely understand the Brigadier's frustration with that, especially because there are dinosaurs that are around destroying things.
But that's the thing. They appear, they ravage, and then they disappear. So it's not like they're literally trying to round them all up. It's not like they keep reappearing and multiplying. It's just that they suddenly pop up and then they're gone, and that's why they're trying to plot them to try to figure out where to go next, to see if there's any kind of pattern.
Right. And they are disappearing because time goes backwards for a few seconds, and then they are sent back in time, specifically. And all of this is just a distraction for what actually is happening, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And, with Invasion of the Dinosaurs, I was almost thinking, like, well, maybe this will also be like a sort of a Silurian sequel, because they were kind of a part of that. I mean, they at least existed with the dinosaurs. So,
and that's something else. Again, the Silurian costumes and makeup, the Sea Devils, and the Draconians, and this is the best they could come up with for the Tyrannosaurus. Now, again, the Stegosaurus and the Apatosaurus, the Brontosaurus, at a distance, looked good.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have a Tyrannosaurus feature so prominently, get your makeup guys in there and create yourself a decent Godzilla-type mask.
Right. Yeah, the Tyrannosaurus is definitely the worst of the bunch, The rest of and you're right, they are in the distance and everything. And, they had the whole thing with the pterodactyl, but then those haven't come back yet. So I'm kind of like, well, I feel like that would make it even more dangerous to be outside because they're going to be swooping down on anyone out there. So yeah. Well, it's an interesting distraction for what actually is going on. Let's see. We got General Finch. I feel positive he's in on it.
That's entirely possible because he would have been the one who cut the chains on the dinosaur.
Yeah.
And locked Joe in there. So
Sarah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
We're still processing that.
Yeah.
Because he was at least the only one who was shown to be there at the hangar at that time.
Yeah.
So that means the minister and the general and Mike are in with Whitaker and his assistant.
Yeah. Well, and also just because he was the one that gave Sarah the pass to go take the pictures and everything. Yeah. So he's definitely got to be in on it. Which is why, I guess that's why he's more, sort of pig-headed and stubborn about, the time travel's nonsense and stuff, because he's trying to, keep them off, basically. So, but yeah. So, what was the minister's name? Do you remember?
No, just remember he was minister with special powers.
Right. Let me see if it's in the credits here. There's General Finch. Oh, it was Grover. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All right, so interesting stuff. So he was also with the, was it New Earth Society or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and he had the, which I mean, maybe if it's a New Earth Society, you go to another Earth. There you go. Maybe that's it. They actually do that in a modern Doctor Who episode, kind of. It's basically like, 5 million years from now, the sun explodes, all the humans, they leave, but they get nostalgic. So they make a new Earth with new New York. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's that. I think, especially because they said it's like, it's been 3 months since we left the Earth, so yeah, maybe that's maybe it's a backup plan or something.
It seems to me that it would have to be in the future.
Yeah.
Because by this time, again, we've already stopped the moon program.
Yeah.
And 3 months out from Earth wouldn't even get you to Mars. It's an 18-month journey by modern kinds of propulsion.
Yeah. Well,
to Mars.
Well, and I was even thinking, the planet that Sarah saw out the window, I guess must be Earth. But I was almost looking at it because it seemed a bit more orange. I was almost thinking maybe it was Jupiter. And then I thought, 3 months you've only gotten to Jupiter, so you don't have, the fanciest spaceship. So, I don't know. I'm curious, what levels of technology it is. Heck, it may not even be that they sent Sarah to the future. They may have just, 3 months ago, they did launch. Nobody noticed for some reason. The Doctor and the Brigadier didn't notice a spaceship leave the Earth, and they're just teleporting. But if you can teleport to a spaceship, why not just teleport? Why would you take a spaceship to another planet?
Well, because they cannot teleport between planets.
I guess. But how do you teleport to the spaceship, then?
Okay, but the spaceship is in low Earth orbit.
I guess, but then how did they teleport Sarah to the spaceship that's already 3 months away from Earth?
That I don't know because she, like you said, she's still got the scratch on her head.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about it.
Again, Malcolm Hulk is screwing with us.
Yeah, if they're not too far from Earth, but they have the capabilities of at least low-level time travel. It's not perfect, it's not graceful, but they can move a Brontosaurus from one time to another. Which at that point, if this whole thing is about saving the pollution, not saving the pollution, getting rid of the pollution, saving the Earth, why not go back in time and change history to do that?
Yeah.
Why let it get this bad and then try to change it now?
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about this. Is basically where we're at.
Malcolm, you got some splaining to do.
Yeah, so and it's really interesting too with Yates because they kind of. I like how they basically do this twice because we already had this with the Green Death. That was it, where he shows up at a global. Whatever it was called,
hippie colony.
Yeah, whatever the oil place was.
Global Chemicals.
Global Chemicals. Yeah, that was it. So he shows up there, and you're like, oh, is he like in on it? It's like, oh no, he's an inside man. But now, as soon as it's like, oh, our friend from UNIT is here, and I thought, oh no, it's actually going to be Yates this time, and sure enough, it was. He's actually in on it, but he seems to be doing all of this for a good cause. It's just way too convoluted, and as a guy who's dealt with so many people, so much time travel nonsense, especially the Master, he should look at this and be like, no, this isn't gonna work, This is a little too crazy, y'all are weird, the Doctor will stop you at some point. So, Mike should know better. You would think Mike would know better. Let's see.
Maybe he's also still pining over Joe running off with the professor. Wasn't he semi-interested in her?
They kind of built that up a bit, but yeah, and then she's off in the Amazon rainforest. I wonder who has it worse right now: Joe being in the Amazon rainforest, or Sarah being in the middle of Dinosaur City, and then also on a spaceship. I don't know. At least you can see the dinosaurs coming. The Amazon rainforest, there's 10 million bugs, Yeah. So, let's see. Well, we did have the little bit of, Sarah doing the research and stuff for the professor guy, Whitaker, that was his name. And I did like that, where she's, she started looking into, is there anyone who's been making time travel? And then she figured out that this guy's been missing for 6 months, and it's like, oh, well, that's really interesting. And I like that, it's good, shows her, usefulness as a journalist. But then I was kind of thinking like, oh, well, maybe she'll, because she's a journalist, she'll, see when someone's like lying to her or something like that. And then she just didn't. And there was someone else other than Finch, with his mustache twirling and everything. Let me see if I can try to remember it. I swear it was someone. Maybe it was it might have just been Grover. But I thought, as they were talking, she would start picking up on some things. Like, oh, well, you don't really seem like you're telling the truth, or this and that. And it's like, oh, well, that would be good, because she's a journalist. She can, read people. And then that didn't happen, and the very obviously evil General Finch sent her off to a Tyrannosaurus, so I guess I should take what I can get with Sarah. Let's see. We had the generator, and tracing back the generator to Grover and the bunker, which is interesting. And see, that at least worked, where, General Finch, obviously there's something, strange about him. He's very much acting differently. Whereas Grover here, for a little bit, I really couldn't tell if he was actually in on it.
Yeah.
When they were going over, it's like, oh, well, that's my theory, is that there should be, records of this stuff. Maybe there's a bunker, left over from the Cold War days. It's like, oh, that could be very interesting. Let's pop in here. I have some records. And they were going through, and even down to, oh, yes, it's right here on this map. And then just turn, elevator, you've been taken, down to this bunker. And it's like, oh, okay, so he is in on it. He is part of the plan. Like, oh, well. But I like that he played that very well.
Yeah.
So, unlike General Mustache Twirler. So, and then, so it's definitely got to be... It must also be General Finch doing the sabotage, because Mike wouldn't have locked anyone in there, let alone the Doctor or Sarah. So, I was also thinking, the Doctor tries to use his device, and then it doesn't work because it's got the thing. Mike runs over. He doesn't see that, he takes the thing off of it, but Mike runs over, takes the device. Oh, look at that, it worked. I thought the Doctor might think, wow, it's interesting that it worked for you, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe he just believes in Mike. Which I guess he has no reason to doubt Mike.
But then right after that, Mike goes back down into the bunker to see the scientists, and nobody misses him. I mean, that was a little bit of a stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I thought someone was going to be like, well, wow, Mike, how'd you get that to work or something? And maybe either the Doctor or the Brigadier would start to be suspicious about that. But nope, he just bailed. I don't know how he's able to get away like that. I mean, I guess he's a captain if he needs to be like, oh, I need to go do something, and then he goes off to the others. Maybe. And then, now we're on a spaceship. Somehow they have transported Sarah to a spaceship, possibly through time, and given her a new outfit. Have not treated her wound. That's still there. But they're trying to convince her, I guess, that, no, you've always been on this spaceship or something.
But that's there was an episode of Twilight Zone that did that. And, of course, the Captain America, the first Avenger movie, where he wakes up in the hospital listening to the ball game and then says, but I was at that ball game. I remember that game. And again, it was one of those things in the Twilight Zone episode, like the guy had cut his finger. And he's going through all this stuff. They're trying to convince him. And I think it may have been... they were trying to get him to divulge plans for D-Day or something, and he was just about to do it when he looked down and he sees the cut on his finger, and he goes, wait a minute, I just had that cut yesterday. And so he began to realize that the whole thing was a setup and they were trying to break him. Yeah,
I guess that's true. That it could be that this isn't a real spaceship and they've just put her in this strange scenario for some reason. Now that I think about the Captain America one, though, where it's like, oh, I was at that ball game, it's like, well, you know when he went down. Pick a ball game from after he goes down. Wait a second.
But I think they were trying to convince him that he hadn't actually gone down. That the whole thing, he was somehow injured, or the serum didn't work, and he was only imagining all the stuff that he went through. I mean, that was the theory that I always thought of.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, what is the spaceship here? Is it fake? Is it real? Is it the future? Is it not the future? I don't know, but it really just adds... It's always good that, when we split up these episodes, they always do end on the perfect note as a cliffhanger to be like, oh, well, and, tune in next week and we'll finish up this story and stuff, so...
Well, you notice the first two ended with the Tyrannosaurus, and I kind of expected this one to somehow end that way as well.
Yeah.
But, they gave us that little tag of, she wakes up on a spaceship 3 months from Earth.
Right. So, I'll be very curious, because it seems like, all right, they have a good idea, I guess, maybe of, helping the planet, stopping pollution, and, maybe, like you said, probably going back to the more hunter-gatherer, maybe agriculture society. And that's great and all, but I feel like they're putting in way too many steps that don't need to be, all right, you brought dinosaurs from the past to the future. Okay, there's 20 other things you could be doing with this technology that will still work towards this goal, rather than we're going to have dinosaurs so that we can clear out London so that it'll be a little bit better. There will be a fox in whatever.
In Hyde Park, was it?
Is something like...
Fox in Piccadilly.
Yeah, it's so the animals can return, the air is cleaner, all that stuff, and that's all great. Or you go back in time, you start pre-Illuminati and take over so that there just is no pollution. There you go. You had time travel.
Prevent the Industrial Revolution from taking place.
Yeah. Nobody invents time travel to fix pollution now. If you invented time travel, you're supposed to go and do something with that time travel, So... yeah, it's just a bit strange. If you're going to invent time travel, you use the time travel, basically. But yeah, that's all I got. Also, well, I guess maybe one last thing. I like that it's like, okay, so we send the dinosaurs back in time. Time also just reverses for like 5 seconds. Not really sure why. Like, they still notice that the dinosaurs disappear. They just don't see that disappear.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's only by like a couple seconds. And it's like, well, that's an odd choice, but okay. So yeah. But that's basically all I got. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, next time we will finish up Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I do like that the first episode it was just invasion. They didn't spoil it. So, probably because they looked at every single like of the Daleks episode and be like, well, that spoils the cliffhanger of the first episode, you know? So, yeah. I bet that. Well, I was gonna say that might be a Terry Nation thing, but Terry Nation was still submitting them with individual episode titles, so oh well. Anywho, with all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's a playlist for all of our Doctor Who classic reactions, as well as another Doctor Who related playlist you can go click on. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.